Warning, warning. This is not a test.
Hello my friends and welcome back. Kamen Rider Saber episode 6 came out this week with the birth of Kamen Rider Kenzan. So let's talk about it. Obviously Tassel opens the episode. Both his intro and outro this week are pretty short, honestly. But he does tease that we will be gaining a new rider, the Wind Knight, this episode. We are quickly then introduced to Ren, our Kamen Rider Kenzan, and he is an abrasive child. He only cares about strength, he doesn't think that knowledge is important, so he's gonna get shown up a lot in the coming weeks. And he's obsessed with Kento for some reason. I don't like him so far. He's too hyper, he's too in your face without really having anything much else going on behind the scenes so far. Maybe we'll get more backstory later, maybe he'll develop a lot, but right now, I'm not really feeling it with him. Toma is continuing to wonder about what the Wonder Ride book's purposes are, and just everything that's going on is just like he's still trying to process everything, which makes sense. I'm actually really glad that like the main character isn't just shoved into the world and immediately understands everything. He's really taking his time to try and figure out where he fits into all of this, and I think it's a very different direction than what we usually get, and I'm very much there for it. Ren pretty much immediately starts butting heads with Toma though, and calls him a scrub as we go into the title sequence, which I got a laugh out of just because that is so stupid and out of date, but that it circles back around to being ironically funny at how bad of a line it is. We find out that Rentaro is still confronting Zuos from last episode, and so Sophia sends Kento off to take care of that and to help him out. Ren is just like, I'm gonna go help too, and Daishinji takes his sword and goes, no you're not, I gotta work on this, bye. So then with only Sophia and Toma left, they have a brief chat about books, and Sophia mentions a person named Slash. Nothing else really about that though. We get even more infighting within Calibur's gang, before Daishinji returns Toma his sword and gives a little bit of exposition about Wonder Ride books and the altar books that the villains use. Toma and Ren then fight over the Three Little Piggies Wonder Ride book. Sure, that needed to happen. Toma wins because Kento calls as they're about to start hitting each other with rolled up newspapers. Sure, why not? That needed to happen. We then catch up with Espada confronting the Piranha Megiddo, because they're back again. Hooray! And Disaster shows up just at the same time that Toma does, and they all start fighting. Saber gets an instant henshin into Dragon Eagle Butasan, which is the Dragon Eagle form, and then we added on a green left arm for the Three Little Pigs. The final page finisher for this form is very innovative. It summons 3 paper-thin cartoon pigs that run up to the monster, in this case the Piranha Megiddo, build the straw house around it, and then Saber blows it away, which shoots the Megiddo up into the air, whereupon it then catches on fire and explodes. But it comes back later on in the episode, or maybe that's just another Piranha Megiddo. They seem to just never stop showing up, so who can really say? Then our mysterious man from last week that was talking about Avalon shows up again. His name is Storius. It's not said in the episode, but that's what he's called, and I'm just gonna go with it because it's easier for me that way. He shows up and he seals the Saber Saber's driver, so he can no longer pull the sword out in Henshin. This gives Dazaste the chance to steal back the Storm Eagle book. And then we got, then we move over quickly to Rintaro and Mai catching up to Zuos again. We get a very quick version of the stock Henshin. Like, it's not the full stock sequence, it's an abbreviated version, but it's still the stock, so I guess it's an improvement, but I don't know. This show went from having a very defined, we're just gonna do stock stuff, to just having this weird shifting scale, which I prefer if we just had on-set stuff, but this weird in-between is just meh to me. But then we find out that Zuos is the one that killed Rintaro's master, the previous Blades, and so Rintaro goes wild. We then cut over to Kenzan and to Ren and Kento, and Ren gets an insta-henshin into Kamen Rider Kenzan, who has two swords. Like, they start off as one, and then to henshin you turn them and then split off into two blades, and so that looks really cool. The suit itself is fine. It feels a bit too overproduced, almost like it's a tracksuit in my opinion. But I like the green, and the scarves look nice, and it feels relatively ninja-ish, if that's even a word. Espada gets the full stock henshin, though, to go into Lambda Hedgehog, which is his two-book form. Daishinji is back over in the sort of Logos HQ with Toma, as they try and start figuring out where Avalon is. Good thing to figure out. Toma figures out that there are forbidden books in the Sword of Logos, and Daishinji is such a horrible liar that Toma figures out where he needs to go to access the books, and then tricks Daishinji into showing him exactly what combination of things he needs to press to summon the specific book down. Then we cut back. We're really seeing Toma step it up here, and he's just knocking it out of the park in this episode. I really like how focused and dedicated and really analytical he is in this. He's really, like, I really like him so far. I think that this is a very interesting direction to see him go. We go back over to Rintaro fighting Zuos, though, and Mai goes, "I'll call for backup, you clearly need help and are too stubborn to just add the second book." I don't get why he didn't use Peter Fantasista, he's just doing Lion Senki, but whatever. But Rintaro refuses because he's like, "No, he's mine, he took down my master." We then cut over to Kenzan fighting off against Dazaste, because he shows up, sure. The actual fight scene between the two of them is great. I really enjoy it. It's mostly, I mean, there's a lot of wire fu in it, but there's, like, the actual sword fighting that we do get between them is really dynamic, and I really enjoyed it. It was a great fight for what we got. Then we get to see two finishers out of Kenzan. The first we see is the Three Little Pigs finisher, in which they build 3 brick panels that just start rotating around Dazaste, and then Kenzan just hides behind one and does cheap shots. Sure, fine, whatever, that makes perfect sense. But his actual finisher with his regular book is great. He throws a bunch of shurikens that Dazaste pretty well blocks, and then he just recombines his swords into the X formation, and then he just becomes a spinning tornado of destruction that slams into him, and then we get this really cool effect of a scroll rolling in, like, as he's spinning, and it just comes into this very interesting, like, page-turning effect with a sliding scroll, and then it closes the scroll again as Kenzan goes through it. I may not like the character, but that's a great-looking finisher. At the same time, Toma figures out how to get into Avalon. I think. He does something, and he, like, deciphers the code or something, but we don't get any, like, definitive, I did it. But I think he did it. We then get to see Lambda Hedgehog's finisher, which is great. It summons the genie, and he spikes out, but that's not really any part of the actual finisher, because then Espada just jumps up, uppercut slashes him, and then nails him back down with a stab, and that's a great finisher. Kenzan, back over with him and fighting Deslaste. He gets the Storm Eagle book back, so what a twist. I love that we created conflict of, oh no, Deslaste took the book, just to have it resolved in the same episode. Hooray! But Stordius gives Caliber something to help him get to Avalon. Zuos defeats not Blade. Yeah, that's gonna happen a lot. I figured it would happen eventually. Zuos defeats Blades, but spares him for not being worth killing. Note to all supervillains out there, terrible idea. Actually awful plan. I appreciate it because I like Blades as a character, but don't do that. That's just a bad thing to do, because they're gonna beat you the next time you fight. Daishinji turns out to be Slash. I'm guessing he's going to be a writer at some point. That just makes sense, because apparently there's now a prophecy of 13 important writers. Don't know why they went with 13. It's definitely not a reference to Ryuki, which also had 13 main writers and a night theme. Definitely not. Definitely not that. Definitely not. Overall, this episode was fine. I really enjoyed the visual style of it. It wasn't as good as last time. But this is definitely an interesting episode, and I really enjoyed where Toma is going. I like his character right now. I like to see where we're going. This is a very different smart main writer, because we've had like book smart main writers before, like Philip in Kamen Rider Double, who just was Google and had all information in his head if he had the right words for it. And then you have like physics smart characters like Sento from Kamen Rider Build, who just is naturally really smart. And of course Kamen Rider Ichigo had like a 600 IQ or something, because sure, why not? We can do that. It's the 70s. But this is a really interesting one where it's like, Toma gets books. He understands like what's going on, and he can understand like how to play off of the literary strengths of them. I also really like Kento for that, because he's able to play off of anything that Toma does. Like when he does the Three Little Pigs finisher, Kento just goes, I thought it was the wolf that got blown away. And that's just a great little throwaway line of just like, yeah, I get what the actual book is supposed to be, but this time there's a piranha. Sure, why not? Overall, pretty solid episode. I'm interested to see where all the Avalon stuff goes, because I do love me some King Arthur stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching, though. Like, comment, subscribe, all the fun YouTube stuff that I gotta tell you, it's YouTube stuff. You gotta say it. Thank you so much for watching. See you all next time. Take care, my friends.